Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed through our Limerick Township YouTube page. We did have an executive session before the meeting on personnel issues. To receive important township updates and alerts, visit our website and click Notify Me. You can enter your information and then you'll be kept up to date. As soon as the agendas are put on our Facebook page or on the website for our meetings, you'll immediately get a notification. You can link right on and get the agenda. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube page at Limerick Township 1726. We will be having an additional Board of Supervisor meeting Wednesday, August 19th at 7 p.m. here at the Limerick Township Building. And our next MCD 7 LLC Data Center Conditional Use hearing will be here Tuesday, August 18th at 6:30 p.m. Now we'll move on to the fun park and rec events that they have coming up. August 13th, we have dueling pianos, 7 p.m. at the Township Building at Veterans Pavilion. We have Limerick Community Day, August 15th from noon until 3. We have a Veterans Benefit Class, September 16th at 6 p.m. And then also in September coming up, there's going to be a Fairy Night Lights, September 21st, 6 p.m. and it's for ages 7 to 12. You can go to our website and be sure to register under the Park and Rec. Moving on to our minutes, we have a consideration for the minutes for June 23rd, July 7th, July 13th, and July 21st. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any board comment?
Do we vote them separately? For some people weren't, some meeting, we're just gonna do one.
I can do them separately. Okay, so the approval to the meeting minutes for June 23rd.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Do I have board comment? Resident comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Do I have a motion for the July 7th?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any board comment? Any resident comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye. July 13th?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any board comment? Any resident comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye. July 21st.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second.
You can't do that. I do it once.
Yeah. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any board comment?
Yes.
For me, I just want the public to know that on the data center meetings and some of the meetings where it says that I left to administer to my elderly mom. I'm her primary caregiver, and I only have a caregiver until a dedicated time each night. So when the meetings go a little late, I apologize, but I do have to leave to care for her. So I just want to reflect that.
Do I have any resident comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I did not vote because I was absent.
Karen, did I get a vote? I didn't hear. Did you vote on the 21st? I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Thank you. All right. Do we have any additional supervisor comments at the moment? Okay. And then we have our monthly reports.
Motion to accept the report.
All right, I have a motion to accept the reports for June 2026. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any board comments? I do have one. I had sent an email and I have 2 questions for Public Works. They're for my learning information. Was that forwarded on to Bill?
Yeah.
Well, I had my comment, which you answered my one question, and then I had 2 additional comments that are just me like wanting to learn more about what. Yeah. Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure because, yeah, I know the one got answered. All right. Do I have any resident comments? All right, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on to subdivision and land development. I would like to welcome SLD number 26-03, Lot 7, Industrial Parkway. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Steve Clifton here with Chesco Real Estate. We're here with Lot 7 on Industrial Parkway for the self-storage garages. I'm happy to go into detail if anyone has any questions, but we are here tonight for the resolution.
Ted, are you up on the changes to the resolution as far as for all of the sidewalks and?
Yeah, so I understand that they removed the sidewalk from the waivers and now they deferred it. They show the sidewalk on the plans and everything looks satisfactory.
Yep, that is correct.
Right. So the plan has been revised to show all that.
Yep, and our waiver request letter has been revised as well.
Right. And there's no other changes you're requesting.
Yes, sir.
The board was willing to waive them. They did not want to pay the waiver fee. So our requirement is they show them and then they turn it into a deferral, which is in essence the same thing. So there's no other changes to the resolution, right, Rebecca? So we're good.
That's correct. I think Ms. Lawson may have a question on that one regarding the language.
I do. So it says on the back page, it's number D, the request of a deferral from 115-15-B 8D to not require the sidewalk and industrial parkway is hereby granted. So I'm confused. I just want to make sure that the deferral is understood.
Right.
And that we have 1 year from when we request the sidewalk to be put in, that they have a year to put in that sidewalk. I just want to make sure that that's
correct. And I can say the language, and I don't want to speak for Ted or the rest of the team, but typically for D and what the language would have said before is the request for a waiver. And it was just changed to deferral. So it's,
okay.
That's
Okay.
the language.
Yeah, so a year from whenever we request.
That
Yeah,
note's been put on the plan as well with the
Okay.
language.
Right.
Yeah.
The plan that will be recorded.
perfect. Thank you.
I did 2 questions after I read the county's reply. Reference to site access and security. You guys did say you're going to put in a security gate now.
Yeah, and that's shown on the plan as well.
Okay. And then my other question was, and I didn't think of this when we were talking about it, was since we're not doing water, what's the plan if something happens to like hit it before you get a fire or something before the fire company comes?
So due to the size of the buildings under the Pennsylvania Storage Act, we're not required to do fire suppression, so there are no sprinklers there. It's simply just storage for the use code and the, we're under the square footage requirements for, sprinklers.
That's all.
Okay, and I did want to know if the lighting ratio was corrected to Pinoni's satisfaction.
That was corrected as well.
Okay. And then there's not a TPD here. TPD was asking for a site distance triangle before the plans are recorded.
That's on the plan as well. I'm 95% sure.
Okay. So we're good there.
Yeah, I know everything that was, as far as the comments, I mean, all of our answers were will comply, so.
I just have one question. Can you talk about the electric inside the unit and how, is it just going to be a singular light? Is it going to be?
Yeah, that's the intent there, is to provide, 1 or 2 LED lights inside the unit, and it would be one, single receptacle, so someone could, plug in a battery tender or something like that if they needed to, but that would be, there's no, I mean, the idea here is not that guys are going to be in there, or people in there working or doing anything, but if someone wanted to run a dehumidifier or a battery tender, they would have the ability to do that. And then of course the lighting so that someone can see if it's, dark.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, any other board questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the preliminary final plan resolution for Lot 7, Industrial Parkway, SLD Project 26-03?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any additional board comment? Do I have any residents who'd like to come and make a comment or a question? Seeing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Did I get everyone? Did you get everyone? Yep. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What do I do with this resolution? I was told to bring it to me tonight. I did.
And next up, we have a confirmed appointment for Yori.
Good evening, Eric Fry, Michelle Barlow, Julie here. Yeah.
Sorry. Move the microphone.
You got it. Did you get that? Need to repeat it?
Please repeat.
Sure, yeah. Eric Fry, Michelle Barlow, and Julie, I'm an attorney for the applicant. So I do have the applicant here, Yuri Adegunwa, and also Joel Comanda.
Can you talk
I'll
thank
face you
you.
that way,
Yeah.
so I try to face everybody. I apologize.
No,
Joe Comanda, actually the engineer on the project as well. Essentially what we're proposing at 18 Steinmetz is a sports complex. The proposal is to consolidate 2 tracks that are out there at the corner of Swamp Pike and Steinmetz Road. It's residentially, agriculturally zoned, so there will be some zoning relief necessary, and I have the engineer who can go through the plans in more detail, and then we're here to answer any questions you might have as well. But this is really the preliminary step to just get some feedback and then start the process.
Good evening, Joel Commando with Inland Design. I just wanted to kind of go over the sketch plan that you have before you and show you what is proposed. As has already been mentioned, this is 2 parcels located at the corner of Swamp Road and Steinmetz Road. Swamp Road right there, Steinmetz Road along here. The front parcel, as it is today, has a house and some outdoor storage areas. And then the rear is currently undeveloped, this larger parcel. Overall, it's approximately 12.75 acres. And I'm sure most of you are familiar, but the surrounding area, we have the salvage yard right here, JP Mascaro. And then across Swamp Pike is some residential, and then residential here on the other side of Steinmetz. And then this area up here is currently undeveloped wooded area. The plan is, as already been mentioned, to develop with a roughly 18,000 square foot indoor sports complex for use with athletic training or leagues or teams. That's shown in the gray box in the sort of the center of the site. And then the proposal also includes parking, both in the front and rear of that building, with an access drive that has entrances off of both roads in this front area. I'll also note that there is an existing stream bed running through the property in this area, and some wetlands in the rear, according to mapping. The plan is to have on-site septic at this time, and we're looking at using this rear corner of the property as the disposal area. And then stormwater management is, the expectation is that that would be an underground facility or multiple underground facilities located under the parking areas. As has already been mentioned, the parcels are zoned R1, and this is not a permitted use or conditional use within the R1, so zoning relief would be required. We do feel, however, that the use fits in well with the surrounding parcels in terms of mixed use that's already existing along Swamp Pike there, and also that the indoor training facility, is a use that does fit in well with surrounding residential areas in terms of providing a service for the area. With that, we're open to any questions or comments you have. As has been mentioned, we're here to kind of get some input before this project proceeds further with trying to develop the more concrete details.
I'll open it up at this time to board comment.
Yeah, Madam President. I just wanted to bring up that this property, we've had a service request on a complaint for this. They did some clearing of the site. So I just wanted to let you know that you need to submit a drainage permit so that we can determine any violations that are occurring with this. Any tree clearing or disturbance needs to be ceased immediately, and the site has to be stabilized. Okay.
I'd like to know what other parts of the township you looked at putting a facility like this that's where it's actually zoned for and that would not require zoning relief.
Please take a microphone. Thank you.
Yes, we didn't look at any. We just wanted to see if this is possible. So.
Okay. Because we have zoning for a reason. It's sure. To keep it in the classifications to be good neighbors as much as possible. So I would encourage you to look at alternatives as well.
Okay. If I could offer, I would not be in favor of doing any rezoning or sending support for zoning at all. I would actually oppose. This is not the area of the township for this purpose, and the additional traffic alone in this location is alarming. Swamp Pike is a county road. We can't ask for changes. It's not a township road. We don't have control over that, which is another hurdle that would hurt. So I would strategically ask you to look someplace else where it's zoned for this. We love the sports complexes in Limerick. We have it zoned for that in many places. We encourage the kids and the families and the recreational facilities, but not to go in a place where it's specifically not zoned.
Zoning is zoning. I very seldom go for changes. Like the other three, like the group said, there are other properties where these, you can already get your plan, it's already zoned for these. So I wouldn't be in favor of changing the zoning either.
Yeah, I would like for you to find another location in Limerick. This is not the location. That road is a rural road. For that volume of traffic to accommodate any sort of event, or it's unrealistic. So there's a lot of great opportunities in Limerick that could house this well, and I hope we can find those.
And I would agree with my colleagues up here.
Appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Thank you.
I will remind you, you have that cease and desist order. You need to answer that.
Yeah.
Because that is a legal
We talked
citation.
to,
Can you use the microphone? Thank you. I'm sorry. It's just, we are fixing this.
no, I called the township about it. It was just some trees that was cutting, that I cut down because I was going to plant some corn on it. So we didn't, there was no grading on anything at all. I called the township supervisor to talk to him about it. I mean, I guess because the tree was so big, he was trying to move them out of the way, but there was no, we were not doing anything in it. I just needed that area to, well, I wanted to plant some stuff there, but there was no, there was no grading, there was nothing going on in there at all, so I,
Dan, is there a way to get me whatever was sent out?
mhm.
Yeah.
We can get it to
That way,
you.
I'll make sure if there's any legalities I talk to
Yeah.
Yori
And he
about.
already
Make sure.
moved, he already moved his stuff, didn't he?
Yeah.
The equipment that was there, he moved it out already, so. It was
Yeah.
just, yeah.
That's fine. Our interpretation of a few trees may be different,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
that's fine.
And from the legal side, I'll make sure he's taken care of. I'm not aware of this till right now, so bring me into the loop. I'll make sure we take care of it.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you all.
And then we have another confirmed appointment this evening. That is Andy Ray.
Good evening. My name is Andy Wright. I'm here with Greg Wagner. Greg is the owner of 61 Hefner Road, 5-acre property south side of Hefner Road, zoned R1. We're here tonight for two purposes. One is to solicit feedback on the informal sketch plan we have prepared and to authorize staff to informally review, I believe, is the process of our sketch plan. This property is 5.08 acres approximately. It was created in 1988 with, I believe, a 15-lot subdivision. Mr. Wagner is interested in commencing the subdivision process to create two parcels, approximately 2 acres each. They would be on-lot well and on-lot septic. His current dwelling has on-lot well and septic. Again, it's a fairly simple application. I'm sorry. Running low on caffeine. My apologies. So right here is the current property, 5.08 acres, south side of Hefner Road. I'm looking at creating one flag lot in the rear that would be served by its own on-lot well and on-lot septic. Again, 2 lots, the frontage here on Hefner Road. And we have mature trees along the back. They're actually residing on these R1 properties as R1 all the way around. But there is some, again, that's my loose interpretation of the property line for the county GIS. So I believe some of those trees overhang, so we would expect that those be maintained. It's something we can work through during the subdivision process. Is there any questions, comments on?
Could you move back to the last slide and
Sure. So I'm not in control of the PowerPoints. I think there's 3. Okay. Okay. Sure.
I just wanted to see where the plot was on this map.
Yes, ma'am. I tried to zoom out and create as much of context as possible so you can see where everything is at.
So where's the 2 lots?
It's right where the thumbtack is.
Red
where
thing? Okay, thank you.
pen, the Google pen. And again, we're just looking for any kind of informal feedback. And again, your authorization for staff to review our sketch plan or pre-application.
Same.
Thank you.
Good luck with that long driveway.
Me too.
I
Understood.
did have a question about the shared driveway.
So it wouldn't be a shared driveway.
Okay.
It's going to be separate. So I'm sorry, I didn't point that out. So Greg's driveway is right here,
Okay.
and which would be on the east side, and we're looking, this would be on the far northwest corner.
So it will be like deeded in their land that is their driveway. So
Absolutely.
they can't like make another one at some point to come in.
No, from an access management
Yeah.
standpoint, as a planner, I feel it's better to have them separate as much as possible.
Okay. All right, yeah, I have no problem with you going to speak to staff.
Thank you.
Go speak with staff.
Thank
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Just reach out to Tim back there. We'll get you scheduled for staff.
Okay, and then our final confirmed appointment is Pennsylvania American Water. Good evening.
Hello. All right, hopefully this is an easy one. Okay, good, because I am a little loud though, so tell me if I have to be a little quiet. So I will premise this is my first time doing this alone, so if you guys need me to clear up on anything or have any pointers, please let me know. So pretty simple, we are just adding an addition. We are adding an addition to an existing Pennsylvania American Water Company. This is the one located on South Limerick Road. So this is the existing building right here. We are adding on a proposed area here, along with some proposed parking for them. And we will be extending the drive so they can drive in the back here. We have an open storage pavilion. And then along with the addition and the additional parking, we will be moving some utilities, and we are proposing 2 above ground stormwater basins for the stormwater management. If everything looks okay and you guys are any comments or concerns, we would like to move to the next step to set up a meeting and get some feedback on our site and grading plans.
Do we have any board comments or questions?
I'm okay with it.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
I'm curious what you're going to be storing in this new addition.
So it's going to be offices. So like a lot of new offices, they just want more space. Under the new pavilion, that's just for, I may be totally wrong on this. I don't know enough about PA American Water, but I believe it's just like parts, structures and things like that, so they don't get rain damage and stuff on them. So that is the goal currently, as far as I know.
Okay, so office space, it's not going to get early morning tractor trailers or anything.
No, yeah, it's going to be the same traffic in and out.
And is this addition intended to satisfy only PA American Water's present needs, or is it for someone else's needs?
All PA American Water.
All right, perfect.
You guys are easy. Thank you so much.
So, yeah, I say go to staff. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, and then on to our new business. I'm going to turn this over to Dan for our new assistant zoning officer.
Yeah, Emily has been with us for some time. She has taken over a lot of behind the scene roles for Jim in the code office with zoning related duties. And just based on the workload, and her training, and we feel that she is ready to assist at a slightly higher level. And we would like to appoint her as Assistant Zoning Officer. This will give her the ability to sign documents, zoning permits that come in for review in Jim's absence. And so, yeah, we're comfortable with her growth, and we'd like to give her this additional designation.
Right, do we have a motion to appoint Emily, how do you pronounce the last name? Niscala?
I knew you were going to answer that.
As assistant.
Niscala.
Oh, I got it right.
Niscala.
Yay,
All right.
Niscala.
Thank you.
As an assisting zoning officer.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any board comment? And do we have any resident comment? Seeing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Congratulations. And then I'm going to send our next topic to Glenn, and this is for some equipment.
Okay, so during the 2026 budget cycle, Bill Bradford presented some vehicles that would be disposed of when we purchase some new vehicles. So this is the point at which time he has determined which vehicles should be disposed of. He's asking for permission to bid out these vehicles and dispose of them per our budget, the way that we had it structured in terms of getting value back to the vehicles that we're getting rid of. So all we're looking for here is approval from the board to dispose of these vehicles and get as much money as we can for them.
I like that. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the disposition of the assets as outlined in the memo from Bill Bradford dated July 14th, 2026?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any board comment? Do I see any resident comment? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. And now we're moving on to the Main Street zoning district. And I would like to call Greta up to the table, please. And I'm going to turn this over to Dan to get us started.
Yeah, so we've heard from the board through several times this year a desire to look at the Main Street zoning district. So the best way to move this forward, I've heard individually from board members, and I think the best approach here would be to just let every board member express their feelings, their comments, their ideas, their goals, their objectives, their strategies, whatever you want to call it, what you want to see along Main Street zoning district. I will, before you get started, just have Greta remind everybody what the Main Street zoning district is, what you have on there. But based on what we're just going to do, we're going to take a lot of notes based on board comments. There's no right or wrong comment. I don't think we're going to get into the weeds as far as if someone says they want to do this, a particular design or planning approach or whatever. We just want to hear a consensus so we can take it back to staff, pull it together, and come back with like ideas on how we could do that, zoning changes, amendments, however we feel we could effectuate whatever the consensus of the board is. So we just want to hear what everyone has to say and go with that. So Greta, why don't you just give a quick overview of what the Main Street zoning district is so everyone understands the parameters of this discussion.
So the Main Street zoning district is mostly along Ridge Pike. It's the Ridge Pike corridor. It was instituted in 2012 with the goal at the time to allow for one zoning district to allow uses on the pike, so that if a business was looking to locate on Ridge Pike, that they had the ability to locate almost anywhere on Ridge Pike. Before 2012, there were multiple districts that were on the pike: the highway, commercial, the retail business, OLI. So it was to allow for uniform zoning along Ridge Pike, which would allow a business to say, I want to locate on the pike, and they could locate on many more properties along the pike in one zoning district.
Great, I appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the conversation. So I'm going to start with Ms. Irwin.
I'd like to see, I don't think a one-size-fits-all works along the Main Street district. I'd like to see it broken up into maybe 3 chunks is what I'm thinking. So from Knifer or Airport out to wherever Turkey Hill is, make that more of a industrial LLI, light industrial manufacturing. And then from Niford to Royersford, make that village commercial. And Royersford Road to Township Line, make that more of your, like a shopping district to allow like some of your big box stores to come in, etc. Those are just my preliminary thoughts.
Right. Mr. Maroney?
Excuse me. My comments are the same with Ms. Irwin. I'd like to see the Main Street be reduced, maybe stay in the residential area that we exist. And the western part of Ridge Pike should be light industrial, something like that, because there's really nothing out there. I mean, there's single homes and it's nothing really warranted all that. And let's see.
Pat, what was your first comment? Reduced. Can you talk a little bit more about what exactly you're looking at there?
Well, I'm just like, well, we currently have houses type residential along Main Street. That to me is a residential, but also my picture of Main Street commercial has not even been offered by any developer. I would like to see, and I'll give the example of the Collegeville Shopping Center where Wegmans is. It looks like people live up there, but it's fake. I'd like to see like maybe a shop or some kind of business in the first floor, maybe like a 2-story unit above. It doesn't necessarily have to be an apartment. It could be a condominium or something like that. But it's functional. I mean, now my mom lives in Fort Myers and they have shopping centers like this all over, that they have like sections for parking for the residential upstairs and they have shops downstairs. So works pretty well. But so far, no one's come in with that plan similar to that. Now, maybe we can get out some info. That's what we're really looking for. That was, when they first said the Main Street, I was kind of cool with it, but no one's brought a plan as to my vision of what a Main Street plan is. But to go out past on Ridge Pike out by the car dealers and stuff, it's not really warranted to do that.
Ms. Schuler?
I was here in 2012 and was part of that process. If I could, I would like to hear the rest of your ideas and thoughts, just because I take that into consideration when I'm coming up with some ideas.
Okay. Ms. Walraven?
I was really looking forward to listening to your thoughts, Kara. So I would agree with Linda. I think that the Main Street district really needs to be at least 3 sections. I also think that I just lost the thought. What I think of Limerick to me is in 2 different spots when you're thinking about a commercial. One is Linfield and one is at the corner of Ridge and, oh goodness gracious. No, you see, to me, the big box stores and the strip malls, that's not Limerick. That's Upper Providence to me. That does not feel like Limerick to me. Limerick is the rural stores with the living quarters on top, close to the fire department. That to me is what Limerick is. That's like the heart of Limerick. I think of Linfield and the wonderful houses that are right on the road and the stores. I think there's a pizza place down right around the corner. That makes me think I'm in Limerick, not what's going on at the corner of Linfield Trap and Ridge. So that also gets into, housing. I don't know that housing even belongs on Ridge. Or if it does, it is the village feel. like, think about Pottstown, by High Street, where the, theater is. Where you have stores on the bottom, restaurants, walkable, and there are people who live on top of those stores. I think I was.
Okay. Me, okay. So I have photos. So let me get started first. So to me, Ridge Pike is our economic corridor. So I want to help make Ridge Pike connected, attractive in a village scale corridor. I do agree that it needs to be in sections. I see one part of it as being like very, the strip malls where we have through Sonic, through there. And then we have, as we're going out, as Linda had said, going up to the Turkey Hill in that area in there, that's very much like light industrial or office there. But there is this big section of Ridge Pike. So there should be a photo that says number 1. So I don't know if they got loaded in order. Nope. Nope. Oh no, there should be 2 more photos. There we go. Okay. Nope, the other one. All right. So, and then there's this part of Ridge Pike that hasn't been developed yet. So in my head, when people are talking about it, this is kind of what I'm thinking, where they are townhomes, but they are 3 stories. I couldn't find a rendering that didn't have that 4th story, but in my head, it's 3 stories. On the bottom would be retail. The 2 on the end, I would like to see them to be bigger and like more square footage. And so that could accommodate coffee shops or a restaurant, things along those lines. And then the 3 in the middle, would be smaller. So that would be for some small retail or some shops or, a hair salon or a barber shop, things like that. If you notice, there's no parking on the front of Ridge. So I'm seeing the sidewalk and the grass scaping where there's distance. I don't know why they have the grass in between. I feel like the grass should keep a buffer on Ridge, but I can't control the drop, like what I could find online. And then if you go to the next picture, the parking and everything would be behind it. So that is a possibility there for those 3 townhomes in the middle where the garage is, then they would walk through their little yard and go to their home. I would like those ideally to all be independently owned and not owned by a mass shopping center. I don't want, I would hate to see this being controlled like our shopping centers are controlled. Because at the end of the day, I would hate a business to leave Limerick because they lost their lease or because their lease became too unaffordable for them. So I really would like ownership as part of this. So businesses can stay and they don't have to worry about what that rent is going to be. They know what their mortgage is on this. They want to rent the top, they can, if not. So then there's another picture. I don't know how else to describe all this to you, so that's why I found pictures.
Pictures are great.
So there's another picture, Glenn. There you go. So all the parking is in the back. I don't know if you can see that, but all the parking is in the back. And then I even brought a pointer. So like the parking for that retail is all right in here. And then what is surrounding it, I am not inclined to want to see any more townhomes, like with this rich, like this condensed townhomes. These homes here are larger than what I envision in my head, but I would like small 15 to 1700 square foot cottages where the roads are all behind everyone. So where they're coming in, all of the traffic and all of the noise is behind their homes. And then their front porches and everything face into like a courtyard or a common area. So Glenn, I have another picture. So something like that. These are small little cottages. They're not gray. And they do focus into like a garden area that's maybe a shared common space or something along those lines. These would be HOAs because somebody has to take care of all of this, kind of central space. And you think I'm insane. So, And then
I like it.
and then I do have two pictures of like, so this is also showing it. That other picture, they all had garages. So those homes had garages behind them. This, like, no, if you go to that, no, right there, like these all in the back, in this development, those are all garages to these homes here.
I'm not seeing, oh, you're pointing back there?
Yeah.
So the garages are detached.
Yeah, they're
across the
detached
street.
garages across the street. So, I mean, they're really cutting like the noise at the home level. But that doesn't have to be done. It doesn't have to be done that way. I found another plan that shows where it's just basic parking behind the homes, and then there's some extra parking there. So there's a couple ways that I've seen it done somewhere. And then if you go to the pictures of something small like that. And then another one I found another picture, but small lot singles, I guess, is what I'm saying right there. So I did get a little bit, I just feel like those first homes at the beginning that had the store on the bottom really fit with like the Salon Nova, the Protax, the Expo Business, the Post Office, Gwendolyn Salon, King's Inc., the Wayne Carl Garage, the Apothecary Salon. It's all kind of what we have, already there in these homes that have been converted. My concerns, though, is Ridge Pike traffic can be made worse with every new development that we put in. So I would encourage pedestrian traffic, and I would like to look at limiting how many new driveways we're creating on Ridge Pike and coordinating access when we can. Avoid development patterns that permanently lock in congestion. Because once we've created the congestion, it's hard to peel it back. And if we're encouraging pedestrians walking, I would want to look at the site distance and turning conflicts that can be created in there. I think that open space on Main Street should be meaningful and not whatever's left over, and not what is being taken up by stormwater management. To that garden point, the open space should be real open space and not, whatever's left over, and let's call it open space. I'm looking for, like I said, the green, the courtyards, the gathering spaces, good landscaping, places where maybe recreation or programming can happen in those spaces. I said HOAs would need to be involved because we have to maintain those parking. So developers should not leave the township with a dysfunctional private infrastructure and an enforcement problem. So I think we need to make sure when the developers leave, the HOAs are funded and have clear-cut instructions, because we need to make sure that they don't go defunct in order to keep something like this going. I support restaurants, cafes, and taverns, general retail, personal services, medical and professional offices, arts, dance, music, exercise, community centers, library, museums, daycare, educational, indoor commercial recreation, apartments on already existing locations that they may want to put apartments over top of, but I'm not in favor of a big apartment building with retail on the bottom. I want those to be separate and singularly owned. We can include, but with tighter standards, banks, medical facilities, office buildings, funeral homes, any building over 65,000 square feet. I do not want any more drive-through restaurants on Ridge Pike. 65,000 square foot. Just any building over 65,000 square foot. I would want tighter, like we would come in front of us for a conditional use or something tighter on that. I'm not opposed to it, just I don't want it to be a little wild. I'm sorry, do you want me to stop? Oh, good. I didn't dig that deep, and I just brainstormed everything. I'm sorry. Yeah. But I don't want any more gas stations or convenience stores on Ridge Pike. What was that? Oh, yeah, okay, or a drugstore. And anything that is an unrestricted permitted use, I would like to not have there. So,
What do you mean by that?
if a utility company were to come in and say, this has to be there, like, that we don't have any, we wouldn't have any like say over them at all. Yeah, so I think I have a couple more pages, but I won't bore anyone else. So that's what's in my head to some extent. So.
The third one popped up a bit with that view for the first one with the row on the front. That I'm kind of looking at it that way, with kind of like bridge streets behind it to go back to get your to control the traffic coming in and out. When I was growing up, we lived in. Well, my grandmother bought both sides. We lived upstairs, 3 stories on both sides. She had a shop downstairs, and she rented out the other one. I could kind of look at this as kind of an investment for somebody to move in. Either they got a business that they want to have, they can have it down in their little shop and walk upstairs to the house. And I like the view. You said courtyard, and with the grid streets, that's where you could run the garages in houses. So instead of like the turning little stuff, it's like straight right off of the highway, goes back the distance.
And I would just like to say, I don't want to really see any
Oh,
more
and
strip
then I would
malls
still
either.
think that on-street parking would be required to help to do slow down. Like where the green is, take that out, that's where you park.
I'd like to see no parking on Bridge Pike.
No, that's the difference. I'm just saying, a village, you park on the main street. Like if it's shops, that's where you park. Or little lots in the back.
Well, there would be, I guess I did not get that far, but the parking for this needs to be at the way you measure a strip mall. So when you're looking at one of these strip malls that come in, the way you measure a strip mall is the way I would want the parking for these retails to be measured as well. Because this is pointless if people don't have a place to park and be able to use them. So.
Fair enough.
Oh, I'd say you couldn't have it in back, but I still think it's needed for the front.
We'll take both into consideration and come back with something.
Okay, thank you. No, that was very helpful. Thank you. I would like to start with our current permitted uses and uses that need a conditional use, I think is very comprehensive. And I think does serve all the purposes that you've named. I don't think we have to adjust what we're allowing and what we're not allowing. I think the strip mall mentality just needs to go away. The setbacks need to be reconfigured to something that's conducive to a style like this. But our Main Street district is very unique in the different areas that it covers, of the types of areas that it spans. This is a very, very small area that this can apply to, like logically. You can't put it from Copperfields up. You can't put it from Sonic to South Limerick Road in a large amount. So where you can put it, it almost already exists. In a sense. You have a really good thought process in chunking it, but at the same time, I don't want to add industrial to our Ravensclaw people, to our people that are going to be going in the Fruitville Road area, and that already exists there. That's heavy residential, so I don't want to necessarily add businesses that will impede on their way of life residentially. So
Would you see something like that fitting in front of that new project at Fruitville?
So a big thing with this theory is walkability. Where are you gonna walk to? Once you get to one end, you stop. Once you get to the other end, you stop. There's no, this is for a borough, this is for Collegeville Borough, Warrisburg Borough, Skipback Village, where the village expands by 5 miles. You know, our village is 1 mile, and it's a beautiful concept. And I wish we could create it, but it's not how our road system is through the heartbeat of our township there. Where we could get this type of concept in would be amazing. But we can't create this in Linfield Village either. So we can't apply it there so much. Again, you're gonna walk from here to here and you're in a very limited walkability.
Oh,
there.
right, and to your point though, when someone's going to a strip mall, they may only be going for one business at that strip mall. It's really not different, except the aesthetics of what you're offering the community to look at is very different. And the ownership for people, I think, is a different thing too, because when you're in those shopping centers, there is no ownership. That is 3 people and like 3 different corporations in this community that are basically calling the shots for, you know,
development is, it's an interesting bird. Real estate development, you know, you need residential to support businesses. You need businesses to support the residential. You can't just have all of one thing. I would love to see the numbers of the Providence Town Center and the residential versus the businesses over there. Like the statistics would blow my mind, I think. But we don't have that structure here, and we don't want it. Like to Cheryl's point, we don't want it. But we can't have just a little section of this and then office light industrial next to it. So what is the segue? So how are you conducive? Like we already have this concept, but now what? I think it's more of taking what we have and just fixing the ratios. The uses we provide for the uses, I can't come up with a use that we don't provide for that's appropriate along the pike. And then again, it's Ridge Pike, it's not our road, so we're very limited.
I think we can look at a lot of these options and figure out how it could fit and where it could fit. I think with our Greenway and Trail Master Plan being adopted in 2013, I think we do have a lot of communities that have connectivity, but maybe there's like a missing link that could bring them out to Ridge Pike. So I think there's ways to look at the connectivity that you need in order to make this work.
I absolutely.
What do you want to
age-old
see?
idea of creating secondary roadway systems to get them off of the main road. I love that idea. I mean, I wish we could have incorporated that years and years ago. That it's just a smart way of doing things. You go into a state that has built from the desert up, and they've created the roadway systems the way they should. And then that's what they've done. They've created residential roadway systems, but then secondary, because there's got to be a flow to go somewhere else. And it's logical. And I wish we would have done that.
So when you're saying that can be in pieces, what do you vision for, like, what is your vision? Like, if you could rework the vision, what would you change?
A lot to what Connie was saying with the incorporating more architecture standards, I think, it would just make a big difference aesthetically, even if we have to take a developer that's not so creative, we force them to be creative. I'm okay with residential being offset. It just has to be structured the right way, how it blends into the commercial.
Isn't that still the overlay then? I mean, to some extent, right?
Well, I did say that. It's a version of it. It's just
Well, I think like Linda was saying, I'm thinking you could do the village up to maybe this point where the township is, up to Knifer. And then you have to wait to see what it's gonna look like with that other development coming in, because then you could probably market those open lots, like the one on the other side of Knifer, to build onto the village.
We have a lot of,
But past that part, up by the truck place, it's not feasible to do.
we have a lot of the Main Street district that they have said, oh, you're gonna get a huge strip mall and all this office space above it. But it's not gonna be built just yet. I think anywhere where they have proposed those strip malls and office spaces, it could be something different. It could be something like this. All the homes are already behind it. It doesn't have to be a huge strip mall and office space. It can be something that has the mixed residential and the retail use to it. And there's quite a bit of that that we've already been looking at, over the 7 months I've been here. I mean, at this point, we're looking at 1, 2, 4 more strip malls that have been approved. I have no desire for them. So.
Okay, so now we have to get to the realist part. No one's coming with these kind of plans, and this is where you have to encourage developers to bring this in them, so we can do this.
But it comes down to how much does it put in their pocket? I mean, that's what it is. If we're gonna make our demands so astronomical that the bill is just.
I don't see how that's
It doesn't
astronomical. That
make
it would cost the same thing that cost to build that, than it would be one of those $800,000 townhouses that they like to build. But you could put a shop in.
You can't have both. You can't have.
But I think that's what you're not allowed. But that's what you need. You have to have both. If you're not gonna have both, then get rid of the Main Street. I'm just being realistic. We're all talking about utopic plans. Yeah, that's great, but no one's bringing that in.
And that's okay if they don't.
But then the point is, you got all this property that could be Main Street, you're not doing anything with it.
But it's better than it being wrong. And what we have today.
Well, what's wrong? I mean, what you
today.
have today was here 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago.
Technically 2012, but we don't want to continue on the path that we have currently, and that's why we're having this.
I agree with that. I think we have to reduce where we're having it or do away with it altogether.
But we need something. So you can't do away with it altogether.
You need a diversified tax base.
You
don't want it to be a complete.
It just seems like other plans are being, other ideas are being offered already. I can hear, I'm not for it. I can hear it. Just by listening to what you're saying, you're not for that.
There's a lot of opportunity of ideas that have been presented tonight. Why don't you let us take all of your ideas back and let's marinate them and see what we can come back with.
Okay. I am going to open it for resident comment before you run away.
Sure.
Okay. So if you would like to make resident comment, please go to the microphone. I was going to say, I know everyone who is in here wants to say something. I appreciate it.
Before we start resident comment, if I could, these are the things that will be an important conversation with the comp plan that the residents will be involved in. Just because we are shooting things out now doesn't mean that they can't be changed, massaged, and amended later when we don't have these ideas in front of us at the moment. Maybe we will when all these people and these great minds get in one room. So it's not something that we're coming up with and saying we won't touch again. I'm sorry.
Martha Bell, oops, sorry.
No, please.
Martha Bell, Limerick resident. Thank you for rejecting that proposal earlier, sorry. I took a quick look at some of the owners along West Ridge Pike because I was like, what is there left to develop? There are some I don't know, what looked like LLCs. The owner of the low-income housing trailer park that's across from the pond there. I don't know what it is. Do you know where I mean? On the other side of Sunshine Cafe. So they own quite a lot of that property. So I think it would do a lot of good, and maybe you've already done this, to actually look at who owns the properties along that, look at what kind of things that they're already proposing. I don't know about the 4 strip malls that you approved, but I've sat here and listened to ridiculous residential developments being approved along Ridge Pike, including the one you're talking about over Fruitville, which I think went into court. The townhomes that are being squished in behind Sonny's Deli, the townhomes that are being squished in behind the Realty building that are adjacent to, I don't know, I think it's the vets on one side and the golf course on the other. That intersection, the circle that everybody thinks is great, which it is pretty great, but the traffic coming out of the Wawa trying to turn onto West Arcadia, I think it is ridiculous. Like, you can't even get into that lane from the Wawa. So that the traffic along that strip has already been made worse by just the development of the sheets and things like that have gone in there. And then, I look at the residents that are along that road already near the Limerick Vet, and some of them do have businesses in them. That, I think, I think Kara's point is, like, you put the ordinances in place or the plans in place or whatever, so that when those buildings do change hands and people come to you with plans, there's a way for you to say this could be, torn down or sold to somebody that wants to, start anew, but it still has that township or that, quote unquote village feel. And, no offense, I think there's, as somebody else pointed out, there's great places along Skidback and places like that for that kind of, courthouse type living with the off-street parking in the back of the development. But I don't think that intersection between Sunset and where we are now is the place to be building those things where the traffic is already really bad. And there's not a lot of places left to develop, especially if there's 4 strip malls coming out. But anyway, thank you, and thank you for rejecting that proposal.
Rick Fiddler, Limerick resident. Ridge Pike is Limerick's main street. If you're going to have commercial development, that's where it ought to be. It is not being used that way by any of the developers coming in. They're using it all for townhomes with the commercial as an afterthought at best. And honestly, they don't want to build the commercial at all. I mean, the last one we saw has no intention of building commercial. They want open space to be the commercial. I believe one of the main things you need to do is eliminate the conditional use possibilities for all of the townhomes that can go in there. We've got a lot of R4 and R5 development, zoned area where they can build townhomes in Limerick. They don't need to build nothing but townhomes along Ridge Pike. That's where we need to have businesses. That's why a Main Street district, I believe, was created in the first place. The residential behind it, I don't know if it was an afterthought or if the idea was to have people that could walk to these businesses. That's not really how Limerick works. You're not walking to a lot of businesses along Ridge Pike. You're driving. So putting townhomes in the Main Street district and apartments, to me, has to go. So those conditional use possibilities should absolutely be taken out. That's what I have.
If I could, to that, when we looked at this in 2012, and before that, when we were discussing it for 2 years, it was the way that communities were going. Like, we were looking at our surrounding communities, townships and boroughs, and looking at the trend. And we were like, we got to come up with something because what we had wasn't working then either. So we came up with this way different than what it was. And again, changing of the times and changing of patterns. And it's just, that's what we gotta do now, you know? It's falling apart.
Tim Norwood, Limerick resident. Agree with a lot of what Rick said. Rich Pike is our commercial district, and I am definitely a commercial advocate. I think there's a lot more room for commercial on Ridge Pike with those 4 strip malls. I don't know if they're going to be strip malls or big box. Rumor had it we were going to get a home improvement store for years on Ridge. We should be doing everything we can to bring in that space, because we're going to come to a point where we're going to need to balance some budgets here, and we need that revenue. So I'm in favor of, bringing in more commercial to the commercial district of Ridge Pike. I don't know how far, from the old pool place heading toward Ridge, there's room there. So I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, those strip malls going in. I think we need to do what we can to attract those businesses. We need the tax revenue. We can't be dipping into the emergency funds to supplement purchases we need to make. So we're going to have to, something's going to have to give here. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, thank you for the resident comment. Fred or Dave, who have been feverishly writing.
Thank you.
Do you have what you need?
Yes, this was an information gathering session, and the idea is we would start getting an understanding of what everybody wanted to see, so we could come back with some ideas for you.
Good, yep.
All right, Dan concur.
All good.
All right, and then
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. And then moving on to our objectives for the 2027 budget. I'm going to toss this to Dan as well.
Yeah, this is also very important based on the timing of where we are this year. I'm going to just refer the board back to this very basic budget strategy that we have implemented over the last several years. Glenn, I needed to scroll down a little bit too. If they can just go up right there. Well, we can get the top in. But anyway, we talked about this. This is what we followed for the past 15 to 20 years. So we have to start planning department-wise to give the department directors information on what the board desires. So similar to what you just did with the Main Street, I just really want to have the board offer your comments on what you believe this township needs for next year and what we should look at long term. So, and we're going to just make notes and try and get a consensus.
All right, so we'll go in reverse order then. So Dr. Walraven.
So thank you very much for the objectives and goals of the past. I do have some thoughts about some of the wording though. Limerick has been in a growth strategy for a really long time. And I think that maybe we need to pull back from that a little bit and focus more on our current residents, businesses, and visitors. So that last bullet would remove the words next phases of growth and replace it with health, safety, and welfare of our residents, businesses, and visitors. Going into the next, the directives underneath, the second bullet talks about doing an overall budget analysis based to not anticipate a tax increase. What I would like to see a budget analysis do is balance the budget on the known tax revenues versus worrying necessarily about not anticipating a tax increase. we may be in a situation as we start to now get used to the growth we've had. We've got to maintain our services and our levels of quality. I think the third bullet there, maintaining the tax rates. I'm not sure that we should be looking at ourselves in comparison to all the other municipalities anymore. I would remove that bullet completely. Going down to the fourth bullet, first bullet in, I would change the reserve funds were from our the sale of the sewer and those funds should be designated for capital improvements. They shouldn't be used for operating costs, and we shouldn't be thinking about them like that. So we want to maintain the reserve funds at their current level and grow them if at all possible until we need those capital improvements. So, and again, the capital improvement would be for our community, for the health and safety and welfare of our residents. Going into, hate to ask you, can you move it just a little? Down to a status quo review. I would like to add to the first bullet, departments estimate operating costs based on existing staff, service levels, and tax revenues. So adding that phrase and tax revenues. Would also like to add an analysis of the success based on the resolution 2018-37. I think the resolution you had provided the last time, and this was establishing the strategy. I'm sorry, it was probably 2 or 3 meetings ago. But this goes over the board's want to use the sewer funds in certain ways. And there are 4 bullets. Objectives are established for the use and investment of the sewer sale proceeds. And those bullets are a reduction of existing township debt, I think was successful. Funds should not be used for general operating costs. The next bullet is invest the remaining sewer fund proceeds in future capital projects. And the last bullet there is funding for capital projects discussed and approved during the annual budget. So just, I'd like, going back, I'd like an assessment of how successful Limerick has done in meeting those requirements of that resolution. I think I took care of those. All right, so that gets into just the way I view the goals and objectives going forward. The other interesting thing that has come upon us this year has been all the conditional use hearing costs, and certainly would love some sort of understanding how those are budgeted per year as a part of the budget discussion. Did you want to hear priorities for 2027 also? Because that just gets into the goals and objectives, and I got in. I don't know anybody heard your yeah.
No.
So the capital improvements. Do you want me?
And you're saying you do want like the list of yes. Okay.
Not only strategy, but what we want to focus on. Study on.
Okay, excellent. So capital improvements. Now this is not based on, well, like I said, the capital improvements is something different than tax revenues. I would like to see the park system Parks and Rec to provide some information regarding the community center in Limerick Park. And that would include both the budget to actually build it, but also the revenue estimates on what other services we could provide groups that would pay for the use of that space. Would like permanent bathroom, like to know the costs and the benefits of permanent bathrooms in the Linfield parks and the movement of the playground equipment that can be salvaged from Mandrake Park and moved into the Linfield Park. And then also look into additional security cameras at both of the larger parks. I don't know about some of the smaller parks compared. Another capital improvement I'd like to be thoughtful of is solar panels on the township buildings and what that would save us in energy costs if we put them up. Services for 2027, it would be the completion of the comp plan. Ordinance updates would be the ones we've already talked about, any of the completion of the 2026 ones, the data center phase 2, parking phase 1, and Main Street hybrid. Definitions, updating definitions, such as for cartways and convenience stores near schools. Solar, and that can include the solar farms and solar use within the Limerick Township and Stein. For services, I'd also like to know the cost for on-call consultant or emergency communications and advice. We had a couple interesting things that have popped up this year with data centers that we would have been nice to have somebody on call we get a call for. And then I also, for services, I'd like the fee structure to account for large conditional uses. That's what I've got on my list. Hope you weren't timing me.
No timers in this. All
I can provide this in Word, or I can hand this to you. Would you like me to send it to you? I can do both. All right. Send it to the guys.
Ms. Schuler?
I want to be able to afford to live here. I'm a single parent, and everything that you just named makes me nervous. The future growth of the township is organic. And as properties turn over, we don't control what they are. We can't stop that growth. With our ordinances and our zonings, we can control to a certain extent, but we can't stop growth. And I caution anybody to think that that's a good idea. We need the tax basis to continue to grow so people can afford to live here. For this budget coming up, I would beg that we stay as status quo as possible, if not go backwards. I know that's not possible. We are bleeding money because of what we're going through just in this 1 year, and we have another 2 years to go through it. And I know wish lists are great and goals are good to have, and the comp plan is going to generate ideas for us to grow into. But if this conversation is for a 2027 budget, I'm begging us to stay status quo.
Mr. Maroney?
Okay, I got like a wish list kind of thing. I've worked with Dr. Walworthy. She did hit my part about my park thing that I've been pushing for a while. Now, add to that, I kind of want to like I like to do stuff for Winfield. Winfield hasn't really been represented. So we get the park equipment that's still salvageable moved over to the sportsman's park. Because a lot of times parents bring their children to play, but sometimes the younger kids have nothing to do. So that's kind of why I was looking for that. I also had an idea of maybe putting an amphitheater in that park.
Oh, what? I'm sorry.
An amphitheater, kind of like for outdoor concerts, or even some kind of enclosure. Maybe to work stuff with the Historical Society on that end of the property. Because you get parked off the street. Like I said, it's all wish list. The other thing is, we talked previously about charging stations and funding that we had available to do that, but the previous board did not wish to pursue that as the cost to install that. And at that time, I think we're talking one. I'm okay with maybe pursuing two. Also, the need for considering electric or hybrid plug-in vehicles. Now, I'm going to say it is a difference, not necessarily for the police department, because they have to definitely have the combustion engine available for them to patrol. But some of the things like zoning, or maybe maybe we can consider maybe an electric dump truck, because I know they have stuff like that for use in the town, which could last, consider control fuel price and all that. And then the other thing, there's some things with our requirements for mandates that we're going to have to raise taxes in order to support it. And a lot of times people are okay with taxes if it's a good thing. Now, we have to discuss the new requirements coming up for our fire department and how we're going to fund that. We can't be continuing to rely on volunteers, because volunteerism is pretty much dead. Not maybe just for the fire department, but for other organizations. And I think we need to reconsider our capital investment on the fire department with some items. No duplication of equipment, buying the proper equipment. The other part with that, lost my thought. Oh, it's okay to sell to somebody else because it's functional. Why don't we keep it another couple of years? I mean, my cousin runs up in Shamokin, and their engine is 1983 unit, and they use it as their first LP. So it's still properly serviceable. Why not keep it for ourselves? Not spend the money. That's the discussion I'm going to have with it tomorrow. And then other considerations with the fire department, you need to stop making it like a club and make it like a community process. So the biggest major thing I see coming up is having to fund EMS and the fire service. Now, my goal is to keep that money from the sewer building and investing. But it's going to come to the point where we're going to have to take some of that to do these changes for capital investment, where you're going to have to raise taxes. You have to do one or the other. So, and the other part to get with Ms. Schuler is I'd like to try to keep as status quo as we can, but if there's something we need, we got a plan to get it. Not push it off for the next year. Maybe we can squeeze it out for another 2, but you want to push it off and plan it into what it costs to like construct it. Like it takes 2 years to build a fire truck. Well, okay, let's plan the 2 years it's going to take to get it. Keep our stuff until it comes and plan for that. Well, to my opinion, I don't think it does enough. They're not going to be sooner or later. We're going to have to take it over eventually.
They're an independent, privately, they're not township owned. We don't own them. We can't dictate that.
Well, you got rid of one fire company.
No, absolutely.
Okay,
not.
so we're gonna,
It's not gonna be a debate with that. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
okay, so, Ms. Irwin?
So I echo what Supervisor Schuler was saying regarding status quo. There is a time and a place for certain expenses that is negotiated through the budget process. Not everything has to be done in 1 year. It can be planned out. I'll remind you from our June 23rd meeting where we had our audit review, what our auditor said when Ms. Lawson, you asked if he had any recommendation for us. He recommended responsible spending in order to maintain positive reserve funds. And I would like to say that we're now in a position where this year, as we go into budget, keeping the status quo, knowing that last year when we approved the budget for this year, we had things in front of us that were unknown, that we had to ask our staff to maintain a status quo. A police contract, or what that was going to do to our bottom line budget. So we asked our departments to stay lean, and within the first quarter, it was blown out of the water already. And I've worked in finance all my life, and to not limit your spending, to not balance your spending, to not have control over your spending is reckless. I doubt that our taxpayers want to pay increased taxes. I highly doubt that. I think that they want to see responsible spending and sticking to a budget when possible, as much as possible. And I'm not going to say when possible because there are some costs that you can't always predict, such as what we're going through right now with the data center costs. So I would like to say that I want to stay as status quo as possible. I still believe in our investment policy and our investment strategy and how we tweak it and manage that with market trends, what's happening in the economy. And those are my thoughts.
All right. So I guess to my thoughts. So our current revenue in the door is not keeping up with inflation, and it hasn't been keeping up with inflation. The budget was balanced last year using 1.17 million from the capital reserves, plus the interest in order to do that. So what I would like to see us do is to look at the sewer money and say, we are not going below this dollar amount. So whatever it is, 60 million, 63 million, whatever it is, we're not going to that number anymore. And we're not going to have budgets that without a way to balance it out from another revenue source, that's not going to be the coverage point for that anymore. Limerick is the second largest in Montgomery County by landmass. We have over 100 miles of roads that we need to manage and have to be taken care of. We're the 14th largest by population with over 21,000 residents. It is really hard for us to try to stay the lowest against municipalities in Montgomery County who may only have 3,000 residents in 1 square mile. So I would like to take that where you have to be the lowest. We have to keep it the lowest in Montgomery County off the table because I just don't think it reflects the mileage. And there is always a cost. You know, when roads aren't maintained well, and we all know it by getting on 422, when you're hitting those potholes and you're doing that, you're wear and tearing on your car. And it's just going to cost us more in the long run. May not cost you in a tax bill, but it's going to cost you in shocks and it's going to cost you in tires. So if we just made sure that we were spending the money for better services now, though I don't have any control over the 422 on ramp. I was using that as an example. I just feel like that's where I'm at. I'm good with spending money for the better good of the residents, for quality of life, and so that the wear and tear aspects aren't there. I would like a budget that, like I said, that doesn't touch the capital reserves, and that we fund what we're asking for through income. And we all, know where that income's coming from. But I'm cautioned to say that I want to create a budget that's purely on our fees coming in, like our permitting fees and our real estate transfer, because they're unpredictable to us. I see them as big bonuses, and it can offset, and we can come in under budget, which would be great at some point. But I am concerned that we have no control over what the markets are doing or what is happening as far as it's too expensive to build right now. And so we're gonna get this project's approved and we're gonna hold it for 4 years, and then we're gonna start when the economy gets better. We still have to fund during that dry period of time. So I wanna continue down that road. I did look at 2026 budget, and I saw some stuff that got delayed that I would like to see re-talked about. And I saw that the community center had gotten delayed, the Royersford Road and Linfield Trap Road, that was delayed. I would like to see those put back on. We have the cricket club coming in. It's Royersford and Linfield Trap, yeah. Nope, I saw that they came off the budget last year. So I would just like to see them in this one. I'm not saying that I'm doing it, but I would like to see them. I think lights and cameras in the park, given the additional expenses that we just went through, is money well spent. Let's get those cameras in the parks, and so we can actually find people who are so brazen to destroy our property. As far as park and recs go, I would like to see some maybe adult education, some little bit in there. And then for the park, we have an educational classroom and a community garden. I would like for the community garden to move forward. I think it's important, and it's part of our jobs to be bringing our neighbors together in things that they share common passion about. The environment is one of those things. Community gardens is another one of those things. I'd like to see the community working together. I would like them to see them working together on a beautiful garden versus what I've seen them working on recently. I would like to see us together in more positive ways. So the average age in Limerick is 42 years old. I'd like to see 1 or 2 events from Park and Rec that are geared towards that middle generation that exists in Limerick. We have a fabulous program for the children, and we have a lot for our senior citizens. I would like to see one thing in there, 1 or 2 for the middle. And it could be something that is a net zero. It's a fee and it's covered and it didn't actually do anything, but I would challenge them to see if there's anything they could do along those lines. And I'm asking for an emergency services study from a third party, because we do have to face the facts that things are changing in the community and things are changing in the world. And we need to make sure that our emergency services, that we can see 5 years from now, 7 years from now, and we have a plan for that. And we can start growing and building into those plans. And that could be a multitude of things. Could be, partial paid, could be full paid, could be partial, like paid and volunteer. But I would like to see a plan for that, and to make sure that we have all the right equipment that we need. But I would just like to say that, budgets are hard and people don't like to talk about where this comes from. But I would say that we are a growing community. Infrastructure is highly important. If I had a wish list, I'll give it to you. Leaf pickup. I think the community could really benefit from that. And I think it was something that it was brought up earlier in the year from Ms. Schuler. the community center leaf collection. Yeah. I don't want us to create too much of a backlog on road resurfacing. So I would like a pretty good detailed list from Public Works and really take a look at that, because at the end of the day, like I said, the wear and tear on your cars, it is paying people, it's costing somebody money somewhere along the line. I would rather just give them a better end product. I would like to look at a light at King and Lewis. Because I think that that's a intersection. And I would like a traffic study for Ridge Pike. As he shakes his head, so. But we are a growing community. We need to invest in our infrastructure and our services. Quality of life.
But then the key word with all of us is negotiating what we need to do with best for the town. I know we all have our,
I'm sorry, Pat, I didn't catch that.
the key thing is negotiating between all of us, because we all have our process we want to see. We all have our things that we don't want to see. We've been able to talk out to get it through, and that's all it's about. It's about communication and negotiation and talking. We all have good ideas. Not all of them are good. I mean, not all of them are great, but combining all our ideas, we can come out with a good product.
Do we have resident comment? I see some. All right, come on up. You guys have to reverse the order though this time.
Tim Norwood, Limerick resident. To me, my priorities would be police and fire services that the community wants and needs, and I'm sure we'll pay for. When your house is on fire, you want somebody to answer the call. If you have somebody breaking into your house or your neighbors, you want somebody to answer the call. As a growing community, I'm sure we're going to need probably more staffing for those two entities. So to me, the budget process would be do your wish list, look at the tax base. Then you have your decisions to make. Either you raise your taxes or you cut your wish list. The school board raises their taxes every year. You know, there's a little at the beginning, but people accept it and move on. So that's kind of where we're at. The budget process shouldn't be really that painful. It should be, you know, wish list, tax base, revenues coming in, and go from there. Your investments, I would probably be careful with the percentages given the market. And when you're forecasting what you think is coming in. But, you know, that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Rick Fiddler, Township resident. Inflation over the last 5 years, we know, has been a terrible thing, going up and up and up. And it's coming down somewhat, but affordability is still a big problem. We haven't really had a tax increase to cover that inflation in Limerick. And I know that Limerick's expenses are going up with that inflation. Your insurance costs are going up. Your police car costs are going up. Everything is going up, and we're not paying more in taxes. And I like that. No one wants to pay more taxes. I don't want to pay more taxes, but I also understand that the money has to come from somewhere to cover the inflation. What you need to look at as far as budgets, when you list things that I'm hearing things like an amphitheater, a community center, community gardens, there are needs and there are wants. You as supervisors have to look at what we as a community have to have. That's what needs to be looked at in the budget as an absolute. What we want to have, what we would like to have, maybe those things can be deferred. you don't need to do all of those things now. You know, community garden, you can get a lot of volunteers to work on something like that without spending a lot of money. An amphitheater might be nice, you know, for Providence, but I'm not sure Limerick really needs an amphitheater. At a community center, you might want to look into the deed restrictions on the community park before you think about putting a community center out there. Because the county might not actually let you build that. That's all deed restricted. So you have to look at the needs versus the wants. And if you have to do a tax increase for inflation, so be it.
Martha Bell, Limerick resident. I do think there's a need for a community center, but this may not be the time to do it. One of the things that I've always appreciated about the board and the close to 30 years that I've lived here is that they've always tried to keep an eye on keeping the taxes reasonable. I would like to compare us to other townships because I personally am like astounded that you don't think we're paying more in taxes. Maybe because it's the real estate bill that's gone up more than anything else, but I see like 5 or 6 lines on my tax bill now where once there was one. But I do not want to pay more taxes than we absolutely need to. I think a lot of these things need to be deferred. I was against the comprehensive plan until I started listening, coming to the meetings this year and listening to what you guys were forced to approve or did approve, and was like, oh my God, we need to update our comprehensive plan apparently. I do think there's, you know, I look around and see, I want the open space, the real open space. I don't want a trail that's fenced in for miles, you know, going under the transmission lines. So I think there's ways to save on things that we call open space and needs and wants of the township. But I would also, you know, I'll stand here and represent a lot of people in our community and our surrounding communities that will beg you to budget for the legal process that we're going on, and will continue the multiple appeals and things that are going to happen with regards to the data centers. I'm begging you to allot for that in the budgets for the next 3 years.
Thank you.
I would like to just make one additional comment. Martha, since you brought it up, open space and taxes. I'll remind the community that we did put an open space referendum on the ballot, that it did not pass because people did not want to pay more taxes. And that's the last I'll say about that.
Okay, so Dan, do you have what you need?
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
That was said with such confidence. Wasn't that said with a lot of confidence? Right? No, seriously. Do you have any questions for any of us? Do you need more direction?
No, we just got to come back and we're going to summarize it and try and come back. I think we're going to just try at the start of the budget process to just take this for what it worth, re-educate the board on some things that we have been doing. I heard a lot of comments about things that we are doing. I think it's important that we re-educate the board on our investment policy, but I heard some redundancy there, and it just sounds like maybe you're not quite sure, but it sounds like what you're asking us to do, we're already doing. So it's just a matter of us re-educating, re-educating the community on certain facts. We did do a community plan high-level study that we never finished years ago. So we have to reopen that. Rick, to your point, the community center was planned for the new 26 acres that are not deed restricted. We did look at that. So anyway, just want to point that out. So, but we have a spot all for it. It was planned when we did the new improvements. We have utility lines in there. So, but anyway, yeah, I think the first step is just going to be a re-education, and I think it'll evolve once we get into that in a positive way. So.
Glenn, do you have what you need?
I think we have the start of what we're looking for. So I think we can, as Dan said, we need to summarize what we heard. And then again, just come back to the board with, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. And make sure that everybody understands it.
And I just want to just, I don't say caution, but advise the board, some of these studies, I'm just going to use the community center as an example. We're going to, the last time we did this, and we got maybe a third of the way through it, because we started to see the costs and other things started coming together. But there is, in order to do it properly, there is a market analysis of the space you're going to build as to the rent that will come back in. We have to analyze the loan financing of that. And we actually need somebody who will give us a sketch design and work through with the construction costs. So all those things are going to cost money that we have to look at. Same, obviously, with the emergency management study for the police, the fire, and the ambulance. There's fees to that we'll have to talk about. So I think the budget that we're going to give you is going to have those costs. I'm not sure, I know Shirley said you want to look at construction for a community center. I'm not sure between now and December we're going to be able to have that cost. Or I guess my question, does the board want to look at the costs of those studies and build them in like right away so we have it while we're going through the budget? I'm asking the question properly.
When I asked for my studies, I just want to know, like at some time as we're going through the budget process, I want you to be able to say, you know, this is what it would cost for this. Mm-hmm. If we throw it into this budget over here, this is what it does to it. Right. And then we can make a decision once we know the costs. Right. But that was in my head. I figured you would be bringing that information to me. This is what it would cost in order to do, kind of like we did with the comp plan.
Right.
When you were finally like, Connie, it could cost you up to $300,000 to do this.
Right.
And we still then collectively decided yes or no that we were going to do that. That's what I mean by that. Like, I want to know like what that would be, like right. What that would cost.
I mean, just as an example, I can tell you, I keep going back to the community center as an example. But I can tell you, as I've watched municipal construction projects, where it is right now. We built this whole facility for $10 million. We're going to be lucky to get a adequate community center for $10 million. So you're probably looking at like 10 to 15 just to build a community center. So we can go through the budget with that assumption, look at the financing, assume that's the construction cost, and try and figure out, we can look at what we can get for 15 million and look at some high level return on investments. I can tell you, I will tell you right off the bat, I've talked to many other managers who manage community centers in their municipalities, not taking in the cost of financing. If you just look at the general operations of day-to-day manpower, staffing, I don't say manpower, staffing, electricity, insurance, blah, 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 and all that supplies, you can almost break even on a community center with rents to, you know, whoever. Once you add in the financing is when you don't hear municipalities talk about that. They stay quiet on that. They take the financing out, say, oh, we're breaking even on a pool or a community center. You can get very close to breaking even. You add that financing in, that is where the drain on the tax base comes. So I don't want to mislead the board. When we look at it, we're going to have the whole thing built in. Okay. So.
No, I'd rather see it that way.
Right.
Like,
okay.
Not
and would you say that this new tool that we got will help with our budget plan?
Right.
So this new computerized budget program.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be able to
we have some more tools that they'll make it easier for us to study.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, so sometimes you have to spend money to get better things to make administration better. Sure. So that's what I want to emphasize.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process. All right, moving on to our tricentennial update.
So the tricentennial is coming close. I can report that it looks like if weather clears tonight and they have good days for the next week, they will have the rubber surface pretty well almost completed. The fence, the rest of the fence will be installed next week. Cleanup issues, fingers crossed, we are very close to 100% confident we will be doing grand opening of the playground at 11:30 before the community center. So there'll be notices going out. Don't want to quite say it yet, but we're getting very close. So we're very excited about that.
So the 5 people in the room, don't run and tell anyone.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yeah, no, so it'll be posted online to those watching. The Rotary, the new township park sign in conjunction with the Rotary, that should be done this week. So that's coming together. And kick off to the Tricentennial. That is our first event. And it's the final details are all in place for Community Day. The actual September 26th event we're really just down to details now, buying balloons and this and that, and organizing some stuff, but I think the structure's there. The last budget report is the board allocated $75,000 for that. I think we're only going to use, I think we're going to have 40 of that left over based on fundraising and sponsorship. So the staff has done a fantastic job on that. So I think it's going to be a great event. So we're going to ramp up. You're going to be seeing in restaurants, wherever they can put them, little things you can pick up, say Community Day. You know, I'm going to try and get the word out now, more posts and stuff like that. So it's exciting. Staff has done a great job. That's all I got. I'll try Centennial.
But you're up again for manager's report.
Yeah, they do it for that too. I got nothing. Yeah, other than the new IT systems going in, it's not quite operational. You see the 3 new cameras. They're doing some wiring over there. Tim Control is going to be sitting over there in front of a little window now. We're getting a little desky thing built, and eventually, and okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you're saying,
All right.
so you're saying
About
Tim's
that.
gonna, you're saying Tim's gonna control the horizontal and the vertical.
Yes. So he'll go from there over to there, and we can free up that room, so make the room more useful. That was one of our goals with this whole thing. The Linfield Bridge received an update from the contractor, the PennDOT contractor, that the end of October is the latest. So the culvert is being delivered. I believe all the underground utilities have all been relocated. So they've been waiting for the culvert. The culvert's being delivered Thursday and Friday. PennDOT posted that there's going to be traffic restrictions in the area as they wheel that culvert in. They're going to start setting it in a week or so. They're still prepping it, but they said that they should have it open by the end of October at the very latest. Fingers crossed it's sooner. The other announcement is that PennDOT alerted me that in the next week or so, you're going to see an announcement that they're going to close Township Line Road at Lodell Creek to put a new culvert in there. So look for new detours going in there. That is just the culvert. There's no utilities in the area. It's just a creek crossing. So they're hoping to have that done quicker than Linfield. But we're going to have 2 major traffic detour patterns in the township for a while. So don't shoot the messenger. So, yes. I'm done.
Okay. Do we have public comment?
Township line, yeah, shut down. Oh, no. I'm sorry, what did you?
Lodell Creek.
Lodell Creek, right? It's just north of Graterford Road. You go down Graterford Road, you go down, there's a culvert, you head back up towards Bradford, which that's getting shut down. So the detour, formal detour is Ridge Pike to North Limerick Road, because Ridge Pike, North Limerick Road are all PennDOT roads. PennDOT is by law is obligated to keep the detour on their own roads. It's going to go down Ridge Pike to 113. So it's this massive detour, but we know everyone's going to cut down Hefner, Graterford, and Sunnybrook, and we're asking for additional signage there. So, yeah. Yeah. So,
Rick Fiddler, Limerick resident. This is really a question. Major Road has been closed a lot recently, at least the signs have been up, road closed. What is going on there? And I mean, how are people getting in and out of there?
the road, Pat can speak to, the road is open till local traffic.
Okay.
The issue is the trucks are trying to bypass the detour. And they were bypassing it first by cutting down Trinley Road by Railroad Bar and Grill, going down and getting stuck at the overpass. So that got barricaded.
Okay.
But you can get to the park, you got to scoot
Okay.
around. So they started doing the same thing, going down Benner, turning down Major and going in the back way. We just had a truck there. Was it Monday or Tuesday?
We've got a lot of tractor trailer traffic on Benner Road.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously they're not allowed on Benner Road,
They're
but
not
they're
allowed.
there.
Right.
And I know with Major Road, going down to Trinley Road or Ferndale, you can really only get out there going one way.
Exactly.
And it's almost impossible to go that direction.
We exactly. Well, we put up no truck signs at the beginning of the detour at Benner, at Major. They ignored them. And so residents were complaining. So we got trucks to turn around in Grandview. We put up a barricade down at the bottom of Major Road before you hit Trinley. They were still going down there. So we barricaded Major Road at the beginning, and we'll see if it works.
Okay. So it's not construction or anything like that.
No. It's,
okay.
Residents can still get around. We know you got to circumvent the barricade, but only half the road is barricaded. It's the visual for the trucks, like, oh, I guess I better stop.
Okay,
but
thank you.
I don't think it's working.
All right. Supervisor comment. No? Seeing none, do I have an official motion to adjourn the meeting?
You do.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Have a great night. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for watching online.